Okay, we're going out again live, and I just got off the phone, the real telephone, something we hardly ever use anymore, with Jeffrey Michelson, who's a live person and a friend of mine on Facebook, but I also know him personally. We've done some business together before, and he said, I always watch your live webcasts on Facebook, so this is for you, even though I know you're watching the football game now, as probably is most of America, except for Ben Foster, who's joined us from England, and he's not watching the football game, which would not be soccer, but it would be American football. At any rate, what I want to talk about today, as you see from the title, is how to start and own your own television channel. We're running a one-day in-person seminar here in New York at our offices above the Museum of Modern Art in Midtown Manhattan, and we're going to be talking about how you can do this, how anyone can really own and run their own TV channel. This would have been a crazy thing to say even 3 or 4 years ago, because to own a television channel, and I've built several television channels with people who had a lot of money, costs $100 million, $200 million before you even get started, and even then there's no guarantee. And if you wanted to go buy a channel like the Travel Channel or something like that, it's probably around $1.2 billion. I think that's what it went for the last time it was sold from Cox to Scripps. So owning a television channel until yesterday was a crazy thing unless you were a billionaire. That's no longer the case. And the reason it's no longer the case is because of the change in technology, which is what I really want to talk about, the impact of technology. The journalism business is a business that is the child of technology. Every other business or every other profession uses the tools that technology affords them. In other words, we've had medicine for 5,000 years, and every time a new medical technique comes along, doctors use new technologies to perform better surgeries or to perform better diagnostics or things like that. And that's the application of the technology. Lawyers, and they've been around for a million years, they use computers and stuff like that to help them research. And I didn't go to law school, but this notion of shepherdizing, I guess, has gone completely away. So each new technology, engineering, electrical, they use technologies as a tool. Journalism doesn't use technology as a tool. Journalism is the product of technology. In other words, in the world of journalism, the technology comes along first, and the application follows. We are the child, not only the application, but the industry. There would be no newspaper that had not been preceded by the invention of the printing press. There was no newspaper industry that suddenly became better because there was a printing press. The printing press came first in 1452, and newspapers didn't even arrive until actually the 18th century, when the technology became obvious that because of the technology you could have newspapers. There was no radio industry before there was Marconi. Marconi came first, and he invented this radio thing, which people thought was actually a substitute for telephone for a long time. But broadcast industry didn't come along until David Sarnoff in 1912 got this insight that it was sending signals out to everyone through passive receivers. Television, there was no television industry before Vladimir Zworykin or Philo Farnsworth, or if you live in England, for those of you watching in England, John Logie Baird, came up with the basic technology of creating television, and then the industry and television journalism followed. So journalism per se is different. It is the product of the technology, and if you want to know where the industry is going, you don't come up with an idea and go, well, what tools can I use? All you really have to do is look at the technology and listen to the technology, and the technology will tell you what to do. Up until now, if you wanted to own a television network or channel, which, believe me, is worth a bloody fortune, or you had to buy all the gear. You had to have this, in the days of broadcast, you had to have a transmission tower on the top of the Empire State Building. In the days of cable, you had to actually wire people's houses up physically, which is what Comcast and Time Warner, places like that did. Jerry Levin, who became the head of Time Warner, actually got the idea of doing HBO, and to make HBO work, he was on people's roofs screwing dishes into people's roofs. One of my early partners, Jan Stenbeck, the Swedish billionaire, started the first commercial cable satellite television system in Scandinavia, and it meant everybody had to buy dishes. And if you didn't buy the dish, it meant you didn't get the show. So Stenbeck, the first year we had TV3 Sweden, which was the first commercial channel that we built. Nobody watched it. So Stenbeck went out and he bought all the rights to ice hockey, which in Sweden is like owning the rights to the World Series and the World Cup and everything else together. And people got really annoyed, and they said, well, it's always been free on SVT, Swiss State Television. And Stenbeck basically said, tough luck, probably in more gross terms, and if you want to watch ice hockey from now on, you'll have to buy my dish. Well, the following year, 85% of the population had dishes. Without the technology of satellites, and Stenbeck bought a platform on the first Astra satellite, which had geosynchronous orbit. Before that, there was no commercial television in Sweden because the concept didn't exist, because the technology wasn't there. Right now, we have the technology available to own your own commercial network channel on the internet. I'm broadcasting live now. With iPhones, which is all it takes to own your own channel, you can do this. So what I'm telling you very briefly here is that the technology is here for anyone to have their own channel, and you can commercially make a living out of this. Tomorrow, I'm going to broadcast at the same time here how you can actually make a living out of this. See, I'm anticipating. I'm trying to see make you tune in. So this time tomorrow, right here on the Facebook page, I'm going to tell you how to make a living and how to make a profit, and also how to do this. But for right now, trust me, the technology is here for anyone to have their own channel. The barrier to entry has been wiped away. And it's not because of some philosophical thing. It's not because it would be a great idea. It's because the technology allows this. And if you have the courage to go out and create your own channel, and you have the motivation to do it, you can make a fortune because you're in early. And that's pretty much all I have to say for now, because I know you all want to watch football. Larry Uden says I'm competing against the New York Giants. And go back to the football game. But tune in tomorrow at this time, and I'm going to explain to you much more in detail how you can do this. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to learn more and see more, come and see us at thevj.com.